Hey there, friends. Get ready for a super fun story that's going to grab your attention and not let go. Picture this, I'm just a regular guy named Jake. I live in a little neighborhood where everything used to be quiet and peaceful. I'm the kind of person who likes to keep things simple. I mow my lawn, water my flowers, and just enjoy my little house. It's my happy place, you know? Everything was going great until she showed up. Her name? HOA Karen. Yep, that's what everyone calls her around here. She's like the boss of all the rules and loves to complain about everything. When I first saw her, I didn't think she'd be a big deal. I thought, okay, she's just loud. No problem. Boy, was I wrong. Karen wasn't just loud, she acted like she owned the whole street. Not just her house, but my house too. She'd walk around like she was the queen of the neighborhood, telling people what to do. At first, I tried to be nice. I'm a chill dude, right? I don't like fighting or yelling. I'd see her stomping around, and I'd just shrug. Maybe she'll get tired and leave me alone, I thought. Nope. Karen had big plans, and those plans were all about bugging me. She started coming onto my yard, my own little piece of land. She'd point at my grass and say it was too long. She'd look at my house and say my mailbox was ugly. She even told me my flowers were the wrong color. Can you believe that? Who does she think she is? Now, let me tell you something about me. I might look like a regular guy who doesn't make a fuss, but I'm not helpless. Oh no. I had a secret, something Karen didn't know about. It was something big, and furry, and awesome. Want to know what it is? Don't go anywhere, because this story is about to get wild. I wasn't going to let Karen boss me around forever. She thought she could keep walking all over me, but she didn't know I was cooking up a plan. A really cool plan. Every time she yelled at me, I'd just smile and nod. She thought I was weak, but I was waiting for the perfect moment to surprise her. And trust me, it's a surprise you're going to love. Let's rewind a bit. When I moved into this neighborhood, it was so nice. Birds were chirping, the sun was shining, and everyone waved hello. My house isn't fancy, but it's mine. I painted it blue because that's my favorite color. I planted some flowers because they make me happy. I even put up a little fence to keep everything neat. It was my own little world, and I loved it. Then Karen showed up like a storm cloud on a sunny day. She's part of something called the HOA. Don't worry if you don't know what that is. It's just a group of people who make rules for the neighborhood. Sounds boring, right? Well, Karen took it super seriously. She'd carry around a clipboard and write down every little thing she didn't like. And guess what? She didn't like me. The first time I met her, she came right up to my door. I was inside eating a sandwich when I heard a loud knock. I opened the door, and there she was, tall, with a frown that could scare a cat. "Your trash cans are out too early," she shouted. I blinked at her. Trash cans? Really? It wasn't even trash day yet. I said, "Oh, okay, I'll move them." She huffed and walked away, but I could tell she wasn't done with me. After that, she kept coming back. Every day, it was something new. "Your grass is too tall," she'd say. "Your fence is too short," she'd complain. One time, she even said my doorbell was too loud. My doorbell? I didn't even know doorbells could be loud. I tried to stay calm. I'd mow my lawn extra neat just to make her happy. I'd move my trash can super fast when she complained. But nothing worked. Karen didn't just want me to follow rules, she wanted to control everything. She'd walk right past my fence and stand in my yard, pointing at stuff like it was hers. My neighbors started whispering about her. "That's HOA Karen," they'd say. "She's trouble." They told me stories about how she'd bugged them too. One guy said she made him repaint his whole house because she didn't like the color. Another lady said Karen fined her for having too many flowers. Too many flowers? That's crazy. I started feeling like I couldn't relax in my own home. Every time I looked out my window, there she was, watching me. It was like she had nothing better to do than make my life tricky. But here's the thing, she thought I was just going to sit there and take it. She thought I was some quiet guy who'd never fight back. Oh, Karen, you have no idea. I wasn't going to let her win. I had something up my sleeve, something she'd never expect. It wasn't just a little trick either. It was big. Really big. And it had fur. Lots of fur. Are you curious yet? I bet you are. This isn't just a story about a mean lady, it's a story about how I turn things around in the coolest way ever. So, here's where you come in, friends. I want to hear from you. What would you do if someone kept bossing you around on your own property? Imagine someone like Karen stomping into your yard, telling you what to do. Would you yell back? Would you ignore her? Or would you come up with a super smart plan like me? Drop your ideas in the comments below, I can't wait to read them. Oh, and tell me where you're watching from today. Are you at home? At school? Somewhere cool? Let's chat about it. This is just the start, and trust me, it's going to get even better. Karen thought she could keep pushing me, but she didn't know what was coming. My secret? It's huge, it's furry, and it's going to change everything. Stick around, because you won't believe what happens next. Ready for more? Let's keep going. Okay, friends, let's dive into the next part of my story. Things were about to get tricky with HOA Karen. At first, her annoying stuff was small. She'd march over to my house with her loud voice and bossy attitude. One day, she yelled, "Jake, your grass is 2 inches too tall." 2 inches? Really? I didn't even know grass could be too tall by just a little bit. Another time, she pointed at my trash cans and said, "Those are an eyesore." An eyesore? They're just trash cans. I didn't argue, though. I'd just nod my head and smile, hoping she'd get bored and leave me alone. I thought, maybe she'll stop soon. But guess what? She didn't stop. Not even close. It got worse. Karen didn't just stay on her side of the street anymore. Nope. She started crossing my fence line, the little wall I put up around my yard. She'd walk right into my backyard like it was her own playground. Can you imagine that? My yard isn't hers, but she acted like she owned it. One time, she stood there, looking at my flowers, and screeched, "This flower bed is against the rules." Rules? What rules? They're just flowers. Pretty ones, 2 red and yellow and happy. She'd wag her finger at me like I was a naughty kid. I didn't say anything out loud, but inside. Oh, I was mad. Really, really mad. My face stayed calm, but my heart was thumping like a drum. I wanted to yell, "Go away, Karen." But I didn't. I kept quiet, for now. See, I'm not the kind of guy who likes big fights. I like peace. I like sitting on my porch with a lemonade, watching the birds. But Karen? She was stealing my peace. Every day, she found something new to complain about. If it wasn't my grass, it was my mailbox. If it wasn't my mailbox, it was my fence. One time, she even said my front door was the wrong color. The wrong color? It's blue, my favorite, and I think it's awesome. But Karen didn't care what I thought. She'd stomp over, her shoes clicking on the ground, and tell me I was doing everything wrong. I'd bite my tongue, means I didn't talk back even though I wanted to. Inside, I was steaming like a pot of hot soup. I was tired of her bossing me around. Karen thought she had me figured out. She looked at me and saw a quiet guy who wouldn't fight back. She thought I was a pushover, someone she could boss around forever. "Jake won't do anything," she probably said to herself. "He's too scared." Oh, Karen, you were so wrong. She didn't know me at all. Sure, I was quiet, but that didn't mean I was weak. It didn't mean I'd let her walk all over me like a doormat. Nope. I was starting to get an idea. A big idea. A secret idea. She picked the wrong guy to mess with, and soon, she'd find out why. Let me tell you how bad it got. One sunny afternoon, I was in my backyard, watering my flowers. The sun was warm, the sky was blue, and I was happy. Then I heard her voice. "Jake," she shouted. I turned around, and there she was standing right by my picnic table, inside my fence. She wasn't even supposed to be there. "Your picnic table is too close to the fence," she said, crossing her arms. "Too close? It's my table, my yard." I wanted to say, "Get out," but I just smiled and said, "Okay, I'll move it." She smirked like she'd won a prize and marched off. That smirk made me so mad. She thought she was in charge of me. She thought I'd always do what she said. But that day, something clicked in my head. I wasn't going to let this go on forever. Every time Karen came over, I got angrier. She'd poke around my yard, looking for stuff to complain about. One time, she said my birdhouse was too high. Another time, she told me my garden hose was too green. Too green. How can a hose be wrong? I'd nod and say, sure, Karen, but inside, I was boiling. My neighbors saw it too. They'd peek out their windows and shake their heads. She's at it again, they'd whisper. Some of them tried to warn me. Watch out for Karen, they said. She never stops. I'd laugh and say, I've got this. They didn't know it yet, but I was already thinking of a way to fix this. A way to make Karen leave me alone for good. I started watching her closer. Every time she crossed my fence, I'd pay attention. She'd walk in like she was the queen, pointing at this and that. Fix this, she'd say. Change that, she'd yell. I'd pretend to listen, but I was really planning. I didn't want to just yell at her, that's not my style. I wanted something better. Something smarter. Something that would surprise her and make her think twice before stepping on my grass again. She thought I was too scared to do anything. She thought I'd just sit there and take it. But I wasn't scared. I was ready. Ready to show her she couldn't push me around anymore. The more she bugged me, the more I knew I had to act. I couldn't let her keep treating my yard like her kingdom. It was mine. I worked hard to make it nice, mowing the lawn, planting flowers, fixing the fence. Karen didn't care about that. She only cared about her rules. But I cared about my home. And I was done being nice. I started thinking about something big, something she'd never expect. She thought she knew everything about me, but she didn't. I had a trick up my sleeve, and it was going to be awesome. She'd see soon enough that I wasn't a pushover. Oh no, Karen, you messed with the wrong guy. So, that's where the tension started building, friends. Karen kept coming, and I kept planning. She thought she was winning, but I was getting ready to turn it all around. What do you think I was planning? Any guesses? Stick with me, because this story is about to get even cooler. I wasn't going to let her boss me forever. Nope, I had something up my sleeve, and it was going to change everything. Ready for the next part? Let's go. Hey, friends. Let's keep this story rolling, it's getting good now. Weeks went by after Karen started bugging me, and guess what? She didn't slow down. Nope. She got even bolder. She wasn't just yelling about my grass or my trash cans anymore. She started doing stuff that made my jaw drop. One day, I was inside my house, looking out the window, and I saw her, Karen, standing on my porch. Not just standing there, but snooping through my mail. My mail? That's private stuff, like letters and bills. She was flipping through it like it was hers to read. I couldn't believe my eyes. That's when I knew this wasn't just annoying anymore. This was war. I didn't run out and yell at her, though. I stayed quiet. I watched her strut around my porch like she owned my whole house. She had this big, proud look on her face, like she was the boss of everything. I stood by my window, peeking through the curtains, and didn't say a word. But inside, oh, I was mad. Super mad. My hands were shaky, and my heart was beating fast. She thought she could do whatever she wanted, but I wasn't going to let her win. Not this time. Behind the scenes where she couldn't see, I was busy. Really busy. I had a plan brewing, and it was going to be awesome. See, I'd heard about this guy. A dog guy. Not just any dogs, but special ones, big ones, smart ones. I heard he could train them to do cool stuff. I thought, maybe that's what I need. So, I picked up my phone and made a call. Hello, I said. I need a big dog. A really big one. The guy on the phone laughed and said, I've got just the thing for you. That's when my plan started coming together. I wasn't going to tell Karen anything, not yet. I wanted her to keep thinking she was in charge. She had no clue what I was up to, and that made me smile a little. A secret smile, just for me. Karen kept trespassing, totally clueless. She'd march into my yard like it was no big deal. One day, she kicked over a flower pot just because she didn't like it. Another time, she pulled a weed out of my garden and threw it on my porch. She'd say stuff like, "This yard is a mess, Jake." A mess? My yard was fine. She was the mess, stomping around where she didn't belong. Every time she stepped onto my land, I'd watch her from inside. I didn't yell or chase her off. Nope. I just stood there, quiet as a mouse, with that little smile on my face. She had no idea what was coming her way. No idea at all. Weeks kept passing, and I kept working on my plan. The dog guy told me it would take some time to get everything ready. "This dog is special," he said. "Big and smart. You'll love him." I couldn't wait. Every day, I'd think about how Karen would react when she saw what I had in store. She thought I was weak because I didn't fight back. She'd laugh and say, "Jake's too scared to stop me." Oh, Karen, you were so wrong. I wasn't scared, I was patient. I was waiting for the perfect moment, like a hunter waiting for the right time to catch a sneaky fox. One afternoon, I was in my backyard, raking leaves. It was a nice day, with the sun shining and a cool breeze. Then I heard her shoes click, click, click coming closer. I looked up, and there she was, standing by my fence again. "Your leaves are falling on my side," she shouted. I wanted to say, "They're just leaves, Karen." But I didn't. I nodded and kept raking, acting like everything was normal. She smirked and walked away, thinking she'd won again. But as she left, I whispered to myself, "Keep smiling, Karen." Not for long. My plan was almost ready, and she didn't suspect a thing. The next day, something funny happened. I was sitting on my porch, drinking juice, when Karen came over. She pointed at my chair and said, "That's too close to the sidewalk." "Too close? It's my porch." I almost laughed, but I stayed calm. "Okay," I said, and moved the chair an inch. She huffed and stormed off. Inside, I was giggling. She thought she was so smart, bossing me around. But every time she did that, it made me more excited for my plan. I could almost see her face when it all went down. Oh, it was going to be good. I started noticing little things about her. Like how she always wore the same red shoes when she came to yell at me. Or how she'd carry that clipboard everywhere, writing stuff down. She'd scribble notes about my yard, my house, even my windows. "Too dirty," she'd mutter. "Too dirty?" They were fine. I'd watch her from my window, taking my own little notes in my head. Every step she took on my land made me more sure I had to do something big. Something she'd never forget. And that dog. It was the key. By now, my neighbors were talking. They'd see Karen stomping around and shake their heads. One guy, Mr. Tom, came over and said, "She's getting worse, Jake." "What are you gonna do?" I just smiled and said, "Don't worry, Tom. I've got a surprise coming." He raised his eyebrows but didn't ask more. I liked keeping it a secret, it made it more fun. Karen kept trespassing, thinking she was unstoppable. She'd bang on my door, yell about my lights, or complain about my trash cans again. Every time, I'd nod and say, "Sure, Karen." But inside, I was counting, spazzing with excitement. My plan was almost ready. So, friends, things were heating up. Karen was getting bolder, and I was getting ready. She thought she owned my yard, but I had a big, smart dog on the way. Every time she stepped on my land, I smiled, knowing she was in for a shock. What do you think was gonna happen next? Stick around, this story's about to get wild. Hey, friends. Buckle up, because this is the part of the story where everything explodes into awesomeness. The big day finally came, the day I'd been waiting for. Karen didn't know it yet, but she was about to get the surprise of her life. It started like any other day. The sun was out, birds were chirping, and I was chilling in my house. Then I heard her voice, loud and bossy as always. "Jake," she shouted. I peeked out my window, and there she was, storming across my yard like she owned it. This time, she was mad about my mailbox. "That mailbox is ugly," she yelled, pointing at it like it was the worst thing she'd ever seen. "Ugly? It's just a mailbox." But Karen didn't care. She kept ranting, waving her arms and stomping her red shoes. I took a deep breath and stepped outside. I wasn't mad or shaky anymore. Nope, I was calm as ever. I'd been planning this moment for weeks, and it was finally here. Karen didn't even notice how relaxed I was. She just kept yelling, "You need to fix this mailbox right now." I let her talk for a second, then I smiled and said, "Hold on, Karen. I want you to meet my new friend." She stopped yelling for a split second and squinted at me, confused. "New friend," she said, like she didn't believe me. Oh, she was about to believe it, big time. I turned toward my backyard and gave a little whistle. That's when it happened, the moment I'd been dreaming about. Out from the backyard came Titan. My new dog. And not just any dog, he's a giant. Titan is 7 feet tall when he stands up, with fur so thick and wild it looks like a lion's mane. His big paws thumped on the ground as he lumbered out, and his eyes. They locked right onto Karen like laser beams. She froze right in the middle of her yelling. Her mouth was open, but no words came out. Titan stared at her and let out a low growl, deep and rumbly, like thunder. It wasn't loud yet, just a warning. Karen's eyes got huge, and her arms dropped to her sides. She didn't move a muscle. For once, she didn't know what to say. Now, here's the best part, my favorite part. I trained Titan to be super special. He's not mean to everyone, oh no. To me, he's a big teddy bear. He'd wag his tail and lick my hand like a goofy puppy. To my neighbors, same thing, sweet and friendly. But Karen? Oh, Titan knew her. I worked with the dog guy to teach him one trick: bark only at her. Anyone else could walk by, and Titan would just sit there, chill as can be. But when Karen showed up, he'd turn into a guard dog, a big, loud, furry wall of nope. And that's exactly what happened. Titan took one step closer to her, and that growl got a little louder. Karen's face went white, like she'd seen a ghost. I crossed my arms and looked at her, still calm. "Get off my property," I said. My voice wasn't loud or mean, just strong. Karen blinked at me, then at Titan. She opened her mouth, like she wanted to argue, but then Titan barked. Just once, but it was so loud it shook the air. Woof. Karen jumped back, almost tripping over her own feet. Her jaw dropped so low I thought it might hit the ground. For the first time ever, she had nothing to say. Nothing. No yelling, no bossing, no pointing. Just silence. The look on her face was priceless, half scared, half shocked, all hilarious. I had to bite my lip to keep from laughing. Let me paint the picture for you. There's Karen, standing in my yard, frozen like a statue. Her red shoes were stuck in the grass, and her clipboard dangled from her hand. She looked tiny next to Titan, who towered over her like a furry mountain. His fur was all puffed up, making him look even bigger, and his eyes didn't blink. He was locked on her, ready to bark again if she moved. I stood there, arms crossed, feeling like a superhero. All those weeks of her bossing me around gone in 1 second. She thought I was a pushover, but now she knew I wasn't messing around. Titan was my secret weapon, and he was perfect. Karen finally snapped out of it. She took a shaky step back, then another. You can't do this," she stammered. Her voice was all wobbly, not loud anymore. I raised an eyebrow and said, "It's my yard, Karen. I can do what I want." Titan growled again, low and rumbly, and that was it. She turned and ran, well, more like a fast stumble. Her red shoes tripped over each other as she bolted back to her side of the street. I watched her go, and Titan sat down next to me, wagging his tail. "Good boy," I said, patting his giant head. He licked my hand, happy as can be. Karen didn't look back, not once. I stood there for a minute, soaking it all in. My yard was quiet again. No yelling, no stomping, no Karen. Just me and Titan, chilling like champs. I couldn't stop smiling. All that time she'd been snooping and bossing, I'd been waiting for this. And it worked better than I'd ever dreamed. She thought she could keep walking all over me, but Titan showed her who's really in charge. My big, furry friend was the star of the show, and Karen? She was out of moves. That moment her wide eyes, her dropped jaw, her running away was worth everything. So, friends, that's the big reveal. The day Karen met Titan and learned she couldn't mess with me anymore. What do you think of my giant dog? Pretty cool, right? I bet she'll think twice before coming back. Stick around, because there's more to tell. Let's see what happens next. Hey, friends. Let's wrap up the fun part of the story. After that big day with Titan, everything changed. Karen didn't dare come near my house anymore, not even close. She used to stomp all over my yard like she owned it, but now? Nope. She stayed far away. Titan, my giant furry dog, stood guard like a superhero. He'd sit in the yard or by the porch, keeping an eye out. If Karen even thought about crossing the street, Titan was ready. Word about him spread super fast around the neighborhood. Everyone started talking about it. My neighbors loved it. They'd walk by and laugh, saying, "Karen's finally met her match." One lady, Mrs. Jenny, clapped her hands and said, "Good job, Jake. She's been bossing us all forever." Another guy, Mr. Tom, grinned and said, "That dog's the best thing ever." They thought it was hilarious that big, scary Karen was scared of Titan. Even the HOA, the group with all the rules, backed off. They used to send me letters about my grass or my mailbox, but after Titan showed up, nothing. No letters, no visits. I think they were too afraid of my furry bouncer to mess with me anymore. For me, it was the best feeling ever. I finally got my peace back. No more yelling, no more Karen snooping around. My yard was mine again. Titan and I would hang out on the porch every evening. We'd sit there, watching the sunset turn the sky all orange and pink. I'd sip my lemonade, and Titan would lie down next to me, wagging his big tail. It was so quiet and nice, just how I like it. Across the street, Karen stayed in her house. Sometimes, I'd see her peeking out her window. She'd pull back the curtain a little and glare at me with her grumpy face. But then Titan would notice. He'd lift his head and let out one low growler, and bam! Her curtains would snap shut so fast. I'd laugh every time. Victory tasted sweet, my friends like candy or ice cream on a hot day. Karen thought she could boss me around forever, but Titan showed her she was wrong. She didn't mess with my yard, my mailbox, or my flowers anymore. My neighbors stopped being scared of her too. They'd wave at me and Titan, happy that someone finally stood up to her. I felt proud. All those weeks of her being mean led to this, me and my big dog winning the day. My house was peaceful again, and Karen? She was stuck sulking, knowing she'd lost. So, that's how it ended. Titan guarded my home, and Karen learned her lesson. I could relax, and my neighbors could too. It was the perfect ending to all her nonsense. What a great feeling. Hey, friends. We're at the end of this crazy story, and I've got some cool stuff to share before we say goodbye. So, here's the thing, sometimes, there are people like Karen who push you around. They boss you, yell at you, and act like they'll win forever. They think they're so big and strong, and that you can't do anything about it. That's what Karen thought about me. She thought she could keep stomping into my yard and telling me what to do. But guess what? She was wrong. All it took was one clever move, my big dog, Titan, and everything turned around. Karen learned that the hard way, and it felt so good to see her figure it out. For me, this whole adventure taught me something big. I learned that a little patience can go a long way. I didn't yell at Karen or get mad right away. I waited, planned, and then bam, Titan came in and fixed it all. A little waiting, plus a big, furry dog, was all I needed to make things right. It's like magic, but better, because it's real. I didn't have to fight or scream. I just used my brain and my new buddy, and suddenly, my yard was peaceful again. It made me think, you don't always have to be loud to win. Sometimes, being smart and sneaky is the best way to beat the bullies. What about you, though? That's what I want to know. We all have Karens in our lives, people who try to push us down or make us feel small. Maybe it's a kid at school who's mean, or a grown-up who's bossy. So, what's your secret weapon against them? Mine was Titan, my giant dog, but yours could be anything. Maybe it's telling a teacher, or maybe it's finding a friend who sticks up for you. Or maybe you've got a cool trick up your sleeve, like I did. I'd love to hear about it. Drop your ideas in the comments below. I can't wait to read what you say. It's fun to think about how we can all be strong in our own way. This story wasn't just about me and Karen, it's about not giving up. Even when someone's being a big pain, you can find a way to stand tall. Karen thought she'd keep winning, but I showed her she couldn't mess with me forever. And you can do that too. You're tougher than you think, even if you feel quiet or small sometimes. One smart move, one brave step, and you can change everything. That's what I learned, and I hope it sticks with you too. Thanks for hanging out with me today, friends. I had a blast telling you the story, and I hope you liked it as much as I did. See you in the next one. Bye for now.